All right, Shalom, Shalom, Israel. Right, first and foremost, want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, which the world calls God, and Yahweh Shah is the name of his only begotten Christ. First and foremost, I want to give a strong shalom to all the mighty men. They're going out there, they're laboring, they're presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice. They're doing all they can to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Not only that, they're enduring the elements, the 100-degree weathers, freezing below codes, and everything that's trying to hinder the work of the Most High. Shalom, shalom. And now I want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty Aqua, right? The sisters that are at home, they're reverencing their husbands, being teachers of good things, tender, delicate, and on fire for the Most High God. Last but not least, I want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty teenagers and children in the truth, but they're doing all they can to make their calling and election sure in the last days. Shalom, shalom. And shalom to everybody that's tuning in to the live stream, right? And that will tune in, right? Daughter of Zion, shalom. Don Israel, shalom. Salome William, shalom. Ancients knew why don't we, shalom. Elijah W, shalom. Right? And everybody that will tune in to the live stream, most I willing. Now the topic of this cold cut is titled, what? What is it titled? Sifting season. Right? Sifting season. Right? People falling out of the truth. Evil spirits increasing. Plus more. All right. So we going over sifting season. Now, if you don't know what sifting season is, well, guess what? You're going to find out today. You're going to find out what time period sifting season is. What is it about? Why does it happen? Why people fall out of the truth? Why evil spirits increase on the earth? Demons. It's a lot of spiritual activity going on in the last days. Really, I was just talking to another brother about this. Hey, things is getting real spiritual. Yeah, the spirit of slothfulness at an all-time high. It's a lot of lust going on. It's a lot of lewdness. Hey, it's a lot of covetousness going on, man. Stealing, envyings. The spirit of jealousy is big on the earth. Murder, killings. So we have to tackle and go over these things. They can say, well, hold on. We went over sifting season already. We know about it. But guess what? We got to go over these things continually. We got to put brothers and sisters in remembrance. And we have to keep putting them in more remembrance and more and more and more and more until it stirs up your mind. So let's go to that in the book of 2 Peter, chapter 1. Let's go to 2 Peter, chapter 1. All right, this is the book of 2 Peter, chapter 1, and verse number 12. All right, 2 Peter, chapter 1, and verse number 12. If I can make this bigger on the screen, that should be cool. All right, 2 Peter 1 and 12. Wherefore I would not be negligent to put you always in remembrance of these things, though ye know them, and be established in the present truth. Because you might know these things. You might know, okay, we have to be diligent. We have to endure it to the end. We have to be fast and praying. We have to always be abounding in the work of the Lord. You might know these things or heard of them. It says, and be established in the present truth. Yea, I think it meet, as long as I am in this tabernacle, to stir you up by putting you in remembrance. So we got to constantly be going over these precepts, man. We got to constantly go over the scriptures. Certain topics we got to constantly keep going over and over and over. Because you got new brothers and sisters coming in. You gotta have brothers that's been in this thing, they forgot about it, man. You might have people that's not watching. They need this reminder. So if we think it's meat, as long as we're in this fleshly body, this tabernacle, and we have a spirit to stir you up by putting you in remembrance. Okay? So guess what? Sifting season is among us. Now you might say, well, hold on, what is sifting season? Well, guess what? Sifting season is the time where the Lord starts to get rid of a lot of people that don't need to be in the truth, man. Now, guess what? We all don't deserve to have the truth. We all deserve to not be in the truth. We haven't did anything to deserve to be in the truth. But guess what? The Most High is gonna rid out people that's not taking heed to his commandments, that's still being lukewarm, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, not taking this truth really they just don't really take this thing serious. They might say, you know what, it's a part-time job, it's something on the side. You know, yeah, I know I'm Israelite, kind of is what it is. I was talking to this one Eve, and she said, hey, I know certain things is a sin, and I know God might want me to change, but guess what? I have my personal relationship with him. And guess what? I'm going to do whatever I want to do. That's exactly what she said. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I still want to have fun still. Hey, that's off. What do you mean you still want to have fun still? So guess what? The Most High, he's not talking. The Lord is not doing any talking, man. The Lord is going to start to rid people out that's long overdue, that hasn't been growing, haven't been increasing, still haven't getting right, not taking this thing seriously. And the Lord is going to start to just pull them out of the truth. And it is what it is. So let's bring this out. This is the book of Luke, chapter 22, and verse number 31, the classic. Luke chapter 22 and verse number 31. It says, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you. Right? So it says, Satan has desired to have you, Simon Peter, that he may sift you as wheat. See that? So a lot of brothers, you're going to get sifted out as wheat, man. A lot of sisters, you're going to be sifted out of this thing. Why? Because you think this thing is a game. Right? This truth is not a game, man. Following the Lord's laws, statutes, and commandments. What is there to talk? That's not how is that a game? This is life or death, man. Your creator is not playing around with you. So what's going to happen? Because again, the Lord is not going to keep sending out reminders and you just not listening. He's going to start sifting people. He's going to send the spirit of demon Satan down on the earth, because Satan has to present himself before the Lord. So he's going to send them down on the earth, cause them to go off, and sift them out as wheat. And it is what it is. This happens all the time. Let's go to that real fast. We're going to go back to this. Let's go to Job chapter 2. Let's go to the book. Actually, let's go to Job chapter 1. Let's go to Job chapter 1 and verse number 7. I'm going to start at verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. The sons of God are talking about the angelical beings. It says, and Satan came also among them. So Satan, he came and present himself with the rest of the angels. Verse 7. And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Meaning, where are you coming from, Satan? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. So as we're speaking right now, as I'm doing this live, as you're watching this, as you at work, as you're sleeping, you have a spiritual demon Satan. He's walking to and fro in the earth, man, causing havoc, causing people to go off, taking the Holy Spirit from people, right? Causing them to sin against their creator. Satan is doing these things. He's walking to and fro in the earth. Verse 8. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job? And this question always is appearing. Now, it might not necessarily be with Job, but the Lord is saying, guess what? Hey, Satan, have you considered my servant Zechariah, one that is upright? Have you considered my servant Sarah? Have you considered my servant Yakar? Right? Hey, Satan might say, have you considered my servant Yowakanah in the Hebrew? And guess what? The Lord is going to send Satan to try you. And everybody has to go through this stage. Now, you could come out like Job and be perfect and upright and not sin at all. Or you could be sifted out by Satan. The choice is, it's up to you. The choice is yours. A Job, when all things were said and done, a Job sinned not with his lips. Let's go to that Job 1:22. So after everything that's happened to him, it says what? And all of this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. So Job, although he had Satan trying to destroy him and sift him out, guess what? Job didn't sin at all with his lips, nor charged the Most High foolishly. So guess what? Satan, he wanted Job. And guess what? We here to tell you that Satan wants you. Now, Satan, he doesn't want the slothful man. He doesn't want the man that's lukewarm. He doesn't want the man that's don't really give it. Because he already has them. But if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, guess what? Satan, he wants you. And as he wanted Simon Peter. So this is Luke 22:31 again. And the Lord said unto Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have thee, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. When thou art converted, strengthen thy brother. So as you can see, or not, as you have heard, a lot of people, this is around the time, sifting season which is really all 4 seasons. It's really all during the time of the year. People are falling out of the truth. But guess what? Chiefly around this time, approaching the time of the Passover, a little bit before and after, guess what? You're in sifting season. When the weather starts to get a little cold, things start to die off on the earth. It's not really, you don't really see the green trees. Everything just starts to wax cold. That's how you know, guess what? Okay, I know that this season is approaching. This is a lot of the times where brothers and sisters, they start falling out, man, like flies, and start dropping. And they curse up the Lord. And they say, hey, really, when you fall out the truth, you really tell the Lord, you don't love you anymore. Imagine your wife, man. You've been rocking with her for 8 years, 5 years, 3 years. And she just wake up one morning and tells you, I'm not in love with you anymore. And a lot of brothers that'll hurt, man. Be heartbroken. Say, well, hold on, where is this coming from? But you didn't see the signs. That's how the Lord feels about men and women that spit in his face, man. You just stop loving the Most High God. Everything that he has done for you, and you just tell the Lord, hey, I don't love you anymore. Through your actions. All right, let me see if I can pull this up in a different translation. See if we can get this in a different translation. So you can pull this up, Luke chapter 22 and verse number 31. All right. So when you look at this in a different translation, and you read it in the King James Bible, right? This, you know what I'm saying, a lot of demeaning definition. And you read this in the King James Bible, it says, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan have desired to have you. It's like if Satan have desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. See that? So guess what, man? The Lord, Satan desires to have you. He has demanded you. All right? He wants you, man. He desires you. It says, but I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. When you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. Let's go to the book of Genesis. Actually, before we go to that, let's go to 1 Peter, 1 Timothy. Let's go to the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4. First Timothy chapter 4 and verse number 1. It says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith. So it's already prophesied that men and women have to fall out of the truth. Now you can say, well, hold on, Lord, that's harsh. I thought you wanted all Israel to be saved. Isn't Israel your people? Hey, guess what, man? It says in the latter times, some shall depart from the faith. So it's already prophesied from old that guess what? Certain men and women are going to fall out of the truth. They're going to stop keeping the commandments. They're going to shave their beard off. And you have certain women, they're going to stop wearing dresses and hair wraps. They're going to stop reading. They probably used to read every day. Guess what? They're going to stop reading. They're going to stop praying. They're going to stop fasting. And next thing you know, they're going to be given over to their ruin and whatever their lust is in the world. So it's written. Now, there's many different ways you could fall out of the truth. All right? It's many different ways you could fall out of the truth. The Lord is going to give some examples. Giving heed to seducing spirits. So if you want to avoid sifting season, because sifting season is no stopping it. It's no saying, well, hold on, we're going to put a hold on that season. It's no playing with the weather. It's going to happen. Guess what? And when that comes, people are going to be given to seducing spirits. What is seducing spirits? Spirits that entice them. There's many different spirits on the earth. You have the spirit of covetousness, the spirit of murder, the spirit of lewdness and sexual lust. You have the spirit of adultery, spirit of a whoremonger, spirit of weed smoke, tattoos. Hey, Eve, they got a tattoo spirit. Right? There's one sister, she used to come to camp. Every time we see the sister coming to camp, she already knows she is Israelite. She used to come up and she used to have a new tattoo. And we used to say, sis, why do you keep getting tattoos? And she just said, I just can't stop. So you have the tattoo spirit, spirit of slothfulness. And when you give heed to those spirits, hey, those spirits, they're going to overtake you, man. They're going to turn you out. A lot of men, they get turned out of this thing. With Eve, they be getting turned out in the worldly terms, in the worldly sense. But guess what? These spirits, they're going to turn you out. Let me get we're going to go back to that. I'm thinking of a lot of precepts. Let's go to Acts. You read about in Acts, about these vagabond Jews. Hey, these vagabond Jews, they got turned out. So they got so turned out to the point that they walked out the house naked. Let's go to, we're not going to read the whole thing. Let's go to Acts chapter 19. Right, let's go to the book of Acts chapter 19 and verse number 16. And the man in whom the evil spirit was leaped on. Because these spirits, they'll leap on you. And overcame them. See that? Because the spirit, it might hop on you, but you can rebuke the spirit. You can say, no, I got to read today. I don't know what you're talking about. Nah, I can't do that. Can't hate my brother in my heart. Where did that just come from? I can't freak off in the night. The spirits, they gonna hop on you, but do you rebuke them? Do you say no? Do you say, nah, let me go through this precept? We're not dealing with that. Do you do that? Or do they overcome you? Next thing you know, you're on lose sights. Next thing you know, you talking back to you talking with your friends in the world again. You starting to hang out with them. So these spirits, they leaped on these men and overcame them and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of that house naked and wounded. So these spirits, they turned these men out so bad that they just took off all of their clothes and they went out the house naked. Now, certain spirits, they turn certain brothers out so that they go back into the world. Now they like transgenders. This is real life accounts. Certain spirits overcome certain men. They get turned out, they shave off their beard, and they start believing in Egyptology. A certain spirits turn out Eve. Next thing you know, they back in the world, they have a sex demon. They can't stop having sex. So certain spirits, they could overtake you, man. Now you just playing video games all day. Or you just working out. Or you just, in fact, certain spirits, they overcome brothers and they just get money all day. That's their motto. Hey, I gotta get this money. You tripping. You tweaking. Gotta get this money. And the Lord not dealing with that, man. So guess what? It says you don't want to give heed to seducing spirits. And there's gonna be a lot of things in this world is gonna entice you and it's gonna try to seduce you, man. I believe that's Proverbs. Let's go to that. Proverbs chapter 12. This Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 26. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. So you're going to have wicked ways try to seduce you and entice you every day. Now, the reason why the brothers and sisters, they fall out is because they give heed to those seducing spirits. They entertain those spirits. They start saying, well, yeah, maybe it's not so bad as it is. They start saying, well, the Lord, he's going to forgive me. I'm going to have a chance to repent. It don't work like that, man. You give heed to these seducing spirits, they're going to turn you out. The Lord, he's going to give you over to your own lust. That's how the Most High works. All right? That's how the Most High operates. He's going to give you over to your whatever lust that you indulging in, whatever stuff that you doing that you like the most. And the Lord, he's going to give you over into that. He's going to give you over into your ruin. And guess what? It is what it is. So let's go back to that in 1 Timothy chapter 4. 1 Timothy 4:1. It says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. So other people, when they fall out this truth and get sifted out, the Lord sends them a strange doctrine. That's another way the Lord can sift you out this thing. He just give you a doctrine. Now you don't believe in the Old Testament anymore. You don't believe in the New Testament anymore. You start questioning the truth. Is the Most High even real? When is the Lord? When is Yahweh shot? Is he even coming back? You start questioning this thing, man. Are the angels even real? Man, I don't know about this Bible stuff. This man wrote it. They've been saying we've been in the last days forever. Hey, that's all. Let's go to 2 Peter chapter 3. It's bad, and it's to the point, man. It's bad now, but it's gonna keep getting worse, and worse, and worse, and worse, and worse, and worse. That's why you have to protect your spirit in these last days. 2 Peter chapter 3 and 3. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust. Verse 4. And saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation of God. Let's pull this up in a different translation. All right. Let's pull this up in a different translation so we could get exactly what these men were saying in the ancient world. Second Peter 3 and verse number 3, or number 4, actually. It's a mean one in here. Let me see where it's at. Oh, yeah, in the NLT. This is what they're basically saying in simpler terms. It says they will say, what happened to the promise that Jesus is coming again? From before the times of our ancestors, everything has remained the same since the world was first created. Hey, that's what they asked. What happened to the Lord coming back? It's been forever. When is he going to come back? I mean, last time I checked, nothing's still happening. Things are still remaining the same. Hey, that's what people were saying back then. Guess what? That same spirit is back on the earth, man. When is the Lord going to come back? You start questioning his coming. Hey, guess what? The Lord is going to get men like that out of there. The Lord, the Most High don't have time. Men like that, men and women like that, they're not going to make it. And you see their true colors. As time goes on, their true colors start to show. So guess what? Men are going to be given heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. Those is just two ways that the Lord is going to sift men up. Those are just two ways out of many that the Lord is going to sift men up. Let's go to Proverbs. Actually, let's go to Sirach. All right, let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 6. Going into the Lord is going to give you over to whatever spirit that you entertain. That's how men, they chiefly, fall out this thing. Actually, that's Sirach chapter 4. I won't. Let's go to Sirach chapter 4 and verse number 17. I'm talking about wisdom. Sirach 4 and 17. For at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways and bring fear and dread upon him and torment him with her discipline. Talking about wisdom. Hey, wisdom, she gonna let you know. You gonna have to come correct. You're gonna have to, you gonna have to go through something, man. You can't just obtain wisdom like that. She gonna put you through some trials. She gonna see if you really, how bad you really want her. Or you just want her for her benefits. It says what? Until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws. Then she will return the straight way unto him and comfort him and shew him her secrets. But if he go wrong, this is the point. But if he go wrong, she will forsake him and give him over to his ruin. What does it mean she's going to give you over to your ruin? She's going to give you over into whatever, because it's not you just turn away from wisdom. What caused you to turn away from wisdom or the Most High is going to be a distraction. So whatever you turn over into, the Lord is going to say, okay, this is what you want. This is what you want over me. Okay, go ahead and have it. And a lot of the times, brothers, when they have it, they realize, dang, nah, this not what I want, Lord. They try to turn back to the Lord, but it's too late. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 1. Let's go to the book of Proverbs chapter 1 verse number 29. Proverbs 1 and 29. For they that hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, they would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way and be fulfilled with their own devices. So guess what? The Lord, he's going to fill you up with your own devices, man. With your own lust. With your own ruin. Whatever it is that you want or that you're prioritizing over the Lord, that's what he's going to give you over into. I mean, we see it, we see it with the Israelites in the wilderness. Let's go to Proverbs. And let's go to Psalms 81. And this is a characteristic of the Most High that you just have to know about. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 81 and verse number 11. But my people would not hearken to my voice, and Israel would none of me. So I gave them up unto their own heart's lust, and they walked in their own counsels. So guess what? You didn't listen to the voice of the Lord. And that's just not talking about the servants of the Lord, the prophets. When you finna do something wrong, you always get that voice saying, don't do it. Why are you doing this? You might think about a precept, might say, you're going to get that voice that say, hey, this is not right. Don't do this. But guess what? Certain men, they don't listen to that. You're getting that voice, don't commit adultery. You're just sitting there, yeah, dang, it's wrong. But guess what? You didn't listen. So the Lord gave you over to your own lust. Then you end up committing adultery with another man's wife. Or you getting that voice about weed. That voice tell you, no, it's not right. You wouldn't listen, then guess what? The Lord give you over to that spirit. Next thing you know, you out of this. Now you believe in aliens. So these things, don't think this thing is a game. If you think this thing is a game and none of these stories, and we're going to pull up some real stories. Because some people might say, well, you guys just making this up. No, we're going to pull up some real life evidence. The Lord said, prove all things. So we're going to pull up some example of men that was once in the truth, but guess what? They're not in this thing anymore. That was once on fire, fervent. But guess what? They're not here anymore, and they out of this thing, just like that. So let's go to Genesis chapter 4. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4. Genesis chapter 4 and verse number 7. This is what the Lord told Cain, which is similar to the same thing that Yahweh told Peter. It says, if thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. So if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, shall you not be accepted? But if you don't, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Meaning what? Satan wants to have you. The flesh wants to have you. That's this desire. It desires to have you. But guess what? You have to rule over it, man. You have to rule over your spirit. You have to say no. See if we can pull this up in a different translation. I believe it's a mean one for this. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4 and verse 7. All right, so as you look at these different translations, guess what? Hey, the NIV, it says, if you do what's right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. See that? It says, but if you refuse to do what is right, then watch out. Sin is crouching at the door, eager to control you, but you must subdue it and be its master. See that? So that's what the Lord told Cain, man. Guess what Cain did? Cain did what he wanted to do. He didn't listen to the counsel of the Lord. The Lord gave him over to his own desire. And guess what his desire was? To kill his brother Abel. It's not just Cain woke up one morning and he just killed Abel. No, when you do something like that, it means those thoughts been lingering on your mind for a while. You was been thinking about it. It's just you probably didn't entertain it. You probably said, you know what, that's off. But then it got you again. Then you just couldn't help it. You was out of the spirit because you wasn't praying, or you weren't in the spirit, and guess what? That spirit overtook you. And like we said, it's a lot of spiritual activity going on the earth. Let's go to that. Let's go to the book of Ephesians. Actually, let's go to Philippians. There's a lot of spiritual activity going on. So like, that's Ephesians chapter 6. Let's go to Ephesians, the 6th chapter. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 6, then we're going to go to Mark chapter 4. Then we're going to pull up, we're going to pull up some wickedness. We're going to pull up some examples of what not to be like, of letting you know that sifting season is real. And at any given time, you could be sifted out by the Most High God. So let's go to Ephesians chapter 6 and verse number 12. It says, I'm going to start at verse 11. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And that's what's going on. You got a lot of spiritual wickedness going on in high places, man. You got a lot of wickedness going on in the nation of Israel in general. A lot of folly and madness. But guess what? The Lord spoke of these things that's men is gonna depart from the faith. And it's all of this is prophecy. And every time you always have war going on the earth, it's always gonna be evil spirits increasing and sifting men out. It's a just balance. Let's go to Sirach. Actually, let's go to 2nd Esdras. Go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 5. So go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 5, and verse number 2. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. And the land that thou seest now to have root, shalt thou see wasted suddenly. So the Lord said that iniquity is going to be increased. That means more sin is going to happen on the earth. More demons are going to be let loose on the earth. More spirits are going to be let loose on the earth. It's going to increase. These spirits, they increase, man. So if these spirits are increasing and you're not increasing, by default, what is going to happen? That means these spirits is going to overtake you because you're not increasing. You're stagnant or you're waxing worse. And you don't want to wax worse and worse and worse. Let's go to that in the book of 2 Samuel. The house of Saul, he waxed worse through the spirit. Why? Because, that wicked evil was increasing on the earth. But Saul, he wasn't. Let's go to 2 Samuel, chapter 3 and verse 1. Now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But David waxed stronger and stronger. So David, you want to be like King David in this thing. The house of David, hey, guess what? He was waxing stronger and stronger. More in the spirit. His mental health was there. He was more inclined with the Most High God, confident. But it says, in the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. Meaning Saul was mighty. Prophesying with the prophets. So, man, there's so many precepts. Saul, let's go to that. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 10. Saul was out there prophesying with the prophets, man. He was on fire. To the point where they was at, well, hold on, is Saul a prophet? But guess what? He waxed weaker and weaker. Now, why did he wax weaker? Because his heart wasn't right with the Lord. Because he wasn't in the spirit. He thought this thing was a game. He wanted to do what he wanted to do and go outside the commandment of the Lord. So let's go to the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 10 and verse 10. And when they came thither to the hill, behold, a company of prophets met him, and the Spirit of God came upon him, and he prophesied among them. So Saul, he was prophesying with the prophets. It says, and it came to pass, when all that knew him before time saw, behold, he prophesied among the prophets. Then the people said to one another, what is this that come unto the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets? There is one of the same place answered and said, but who is their father? Therefore it became a proverb, is Saul amongst the prophets? So Saul, he was prophesying, he was in the spirit to the point where, they start saying, hold on, is Saul, is he among the prophets? Is he a prophet now? What's going on? He's been in the spirit. But guess what? As time goes on, you read the book of 2 Samuel chapter 3 and verse 1. The house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. And weaker and weaker, to the point where Saul wasn't in this thing anymore. I'm going to show you that. It says 2 Samuel 3 and 1, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. And you have to ask yourself, are you waxing? You're going to know if you're waxing weaker through the spirit. Are you waxing faint? Are you not you're not doing the first works anymore? Maybe that's spending too much time with your job, family, things holding you back. Whatever it is going on, with everything that's hindering you, you got to ask, am I waxing weaker because of that? Because when Saul waxed weaker, it wasn't no coming back. To the point where Saul, he was seeking witches. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 28. It's the book of 1 Samuel chapter 28 and verse number 6. And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not. That meaning, what does it mean by he inquired of the Lord? Meaning he went to go seek a prophet or a seer. It says the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. So the Lord wasn't dealing with him in dreams, nor by the Urim. You had the Urim and you had the Thummim, which the priest would be able to get certain revelations from the Most High and show you certain things. The Lord wasn't answering them by that, nor by prophets. The Lord wasn't dealing with Saul anymore. It was over with. It wasn't no seeking him anymore. You don't want to get to the point where the Lord is just not answering you. The Lord, and you have Eve, they ghosting people. You had this one song by Eve talking about, I'm gonna just ghost him. You have Eve out here just ghosting men. Hey, that's off. Hey, you don't want the Lord to just ghost you. Hey, the Lord just ghosts you. It is what it is. It says, then Saul said unto his servant, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. So Saul went to go seek the wicked witch of Endor, man. The familiar spirit is a person that's familiar or that knows spirits on the left-hand side. And guess what? Saul, he went to go pursue that and he went to go seek that. All because what? So you see how Saul was prophesying, he was mighty, then he waxed weaker and weaker, then he was seeking witches. In that order. Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras. So these are the things that's happening as we speak on the earth. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 16. Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras, the 14th chapter, Salakia. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 14. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, 14 and 16. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. So the world has waxed old, and as time goes on, the earth is going to keep waxing worse and worse and worse and worse. So what do you think that the people in the world are going to do? By default, they're going to keep waxing worse and 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 worse until the Lord destroys them. So if you go back to the world, if you fall out of this thing, you're not increasing. You will have a reprobate mind to think that you're increasing. If you go back into the world, go back to having fun, as they say. No, you go back there, you're going to get turned out, and you're not going to be the same. Let's go to 2 Timothy. All right. Let's go to the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 4. Let's go to 2 Timothy, chapter 4, and verse number 10. 2 Timothy 4 and 10. It says, for Damas hath forsaken me, having loved this present world, and is departed unto Thessalonica, Crescens to Galatia, Titus unto Dalmatia. So you have Damas, guess what? He forsook the Apostle Paul, having loved this present world, man. So he fell out of this thing because he loved this world. There's something that was in the world that he still wanted to do. He gave heed to those seducing spirits, man. He wasn't in it. Now, Damas was on fire. Do you think he would have loved the present world? See that? Hey, he has love. Hey, in Damas's love, he has loved the things of this life. Hey, that's deep. Hey, the Lord said you can't get caught up with the things of this life, man. The cares of this world. Didn't the Lord say that? Let's go to the book of Luke. Hey, everything in this world is temporary. You'll be a fool to think things on the earth last forever. You'll be a fool. Only a fool would believe that. Nothing here, everything here is temporary. You better know that. Let's go to Luke, I believe 21. Now I believe that's Luke chapter 12. Salakia, bear with me. I'm trying to pull up this precept. It's the book of Luke, chapter 21, and verse number 34. All right, Luke 21 and 34. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting, which means in excess of doing, and drunkenness and cares of this life. This is why a lot of brothers, and the Lord sifts a lot of people out due to the cares of this life. For some odd reason, they think things in this world are still valuable. They maybe they want to get a Hellcat Charger. They want to be with Eve in the world somewhere. Want to still go roller skating. They don't want to have responsibilities in the truth. They don't want to do what the Lord told them to do. They say, it's too hard. It's a burden. Wait, guess what? That's a lie. Because the Lord said in 1 John 5 and 3, and this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So which one is it? Are you saying it's too hard? Or the Lord is a liar? Which one? Because the Lord said his commandments are not grievous. Meaning it shouldn't be a burden to you. It shouldn't be gotta keep the feast of dedication or I'm gonna die. If you had that mindset, guess what? You're not gonna be here too long. Gotta keep the new moon or I'm gonna be destroyed. I just better keep it. While that person is doing that, you have other men and women out there. I can't wait to keep the new moon, man. It's the feast day of the Lord, man. All praises to the Most High God. I'm here another month. The water Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Kumadak. You got a person that's doing that, then you got the person that's grievous too. So Damas, he got caught up with the cares of his life. That's what caused him to got sifted out. So you see the many different reasons you could get sifted out, or many different ways. Damas, he got sifted out due to the cares of his life. It was something in the world. It was something in Thessalonica that he had to go back to. And so that they come upon you unawares. See that? So we're going to pull up something, going to pull up a video. And you might, brother sent this in a group chat this morning, which is the spirit, because, we was going to tackle that. I say, I'm going to just add this into the cold cut. A lot of you people, you might know who this brother is. If you don't know, then guess what? You're going to know. All right? You're going to know who this brother is. See, we could,
I left the Israelite movement. It's been about 8 years since I left the Israelite movement, and now I'm getting a chance to finally explain the reason why I left. I used to go by the name of Brother Yerushalayim, and I used to teach the Israelite identity. And as a teenager, I used to have a lot of questions and was very curious about the Bible and the principles of it and what it teaches. And I just was very inquisitive and wanting to know exactly what it was about. It's something
See that? So this man said this is 8 years while I left the Hebrew Israelites. Now, if you don't know who this brother is, hold on, let me see if I can pull this up. This brother brought a lot of people into the truth. I actually when I was first coming in, I kind of watched this brother videos, or the one video that he had. See that? Somebody, I think a brother knew him. It says, Brother Yerushalayim. So, hey, somebody in the chat, they seen the brother before. Now, if you don't know who this brother is, see if I can pull this up. It was this brother right here. The brother had the video Hidden Identity. Not sure if y'all can see this. But guess what? This is him.
That in the public school system, that every time the subject of Black history is taught, it always begins in the 1600s and with slavery. Why is that? Doesn't that raise some antennas?
So hey, that's what's the brother, man. Now you probably a lot of people they said they seen this. This is a what you call it, Israelite classic. But guess what? People they was asking, well, what happened to that brother? You know, why did he stop uploading? Hey, if you watch this video, man, if you watch this video, you know what I'm talking about. This was a fire video. It was fire through the spirit. All right. See that? The brother, it says he had great teachings. Well, of course he had great teachings. Had meaning past tense. Let me see if I can pull this up. So he says, oh wow, see that? Gotta pull this up. He brought me to the truth. So the same brother that we just pulled up on the phone, he brought this brother into the truth. Look at that. I know a couple people that he brought into the truth. And you watch that video, it got like 104K views. See that? The brother said he brought me into the truth. He brought me to the truth. You can't make this up. So the same brother that probably brought you into the truth, and see that another one. I used to watch him too. That class was powerful, man. And you can't make that up. Scoffer. Let's pull this back up. Pull that back up. So this is, he said why he left the Israelite movement. Now we're not gonna watch this whole video, but we're gonna skim through it. We're gonna touch on some key points.
I have been brought up with, so naturally I would want to know exactly what this Bible was about. So what I remember is when I was probably around 20, 21 years old, I began like asking even more questions about it, going to church and just trying to find out, some simple answers to simple things that I thought were simple at the time. And I remember I had looked at a specific passage, I had read it, then I went to a Bible study and I waited for the pastor to finish the sermon. And at the end, I went up and asked a question about that particular verse to see what his take was on it. And
see that? So, hey, this is, you know how many Israelites did that? They went to church. They was asking their pastors questions. Well, hold on. What is this verse about? And what is this about? You know how many brothers did that, man? A lot. So a lot of the things that brothers and sisters have in common in the truth is some of the same ways, some of the ways that they came in. But as they say, the trees and the grass is two different lengths. They had two different places, but they all started from the same place.
And what he gave me was something that was nowhere close to being related to what I had just read. And so that kind of had me scratching my head for a minute because I was just confused on how he got that type of interpretation and explanation out of this particular topic that I'm asking him about. So that was about 2 or 3 months prior to me going into the Marine Corps. So I didn't have that much time to really investigate and go deep in on that question and just ask and get more clarity on like what am I dealing with here with with the church, the pastors, what's really going on. So I ended up going into the Marine Corps, and when I got to the YouTube searches and started just looking around and finding out what I can find on it, I ran into a few Christian videos. I was already comfortable with Christianity at the time, so that's what I'm going to go to, obviously. And I clicked on videos with Christians talking about it, and it was for the most part quite vague. I didn't really know. You get almost make it seem like it's some mystical affair. The children of Israel, these were God's people, and all that. Something I didn't. It didn't give me a clear answer on it, at least from what I found at that time. So what I did was I ended up finding another video. It was like on the streets with it was a Christian preacher, and it was with some people calling themselves Hebrew Israelites. And in the video, it's kind of having some type of like back and forth, almost like it was a confusing situation in there, and I didn't get much out of it. But I did pick up on the name like Hebrew Israelite, and I thought to myself like, okay, who are these people? I've never seen these people before. It looked a bit different to me, and it just was something I was unfamiliar with, and I didn't think too much of it at that time. But you know how YouTube has a recommended videos on the side, and it had some other videos that were talking about that came up at the time, and it said something about Israelites and Hebrew Israelites. So I said,
Hey, Slaki, if you, as you can see, he still got his Zondervan Bible Compact Dictionary over here. Now, this is 9 days ago. This is probably a week ago when you see it on the upload. This is 9 days ago. Now, he still has his Bible, Zondervan Bible Compact Dictionary over here, right in the right corner, as you can see. And he still got his Bible, man. Right here, he got his Holy Bible with all the rest of the books. See that? So, you know, he's basically explaining the story of how he came in.
okay, I'm curious. Let me go and see what absolutely amazed me. Something that I had never thought was something that absolutely click on the video. And then what I saw was something that absolutely amazed me. Something that I had never seen in my life and was not expecting to see. They start talking about how these Israels and Israelites and Jews, these are the real identity of the black folks, and how the Jews had, you know, the European Jews had taken the identity of the black folks, and that this is the identity that the world is kind of hiding from these people who went in slavery and who are in these conditions. And I'm like, okay, what is this about, man? I'm like, let me hear some more. So, you know, I keep listening to more videos, then I start seeing stuff about them going into the Deuteronomy, going into the curses. And I'm like, ooh, here we go. Now we're on some stuff. It started lining up, you know, the Deuteronomy 28, if you're familiar with that. All the stuff going into slavery. I'm like, this matches up, right? This matches up. This has to be it right here.
See that? Hey, you might have been once like that, man. Oh man, curses, man. This is the truth. I don't know it. Hey, certain brothers, they just believed off the curses. They heard one curse. Oh yeah, this is the truth. Hey, so what he's explaining is that feeling that he got when he first heard the truth, man. How he was ravished with his heart inclined into this thing. Let's go to let me get a precept. Let's go to Songs of Solomon, chapter 5. Actually, let's go to Jeremiah. You know, we're gonna hold that. So what he's going into it scripturally known as the time of love. You know, when you meet your first love, everything going smooth, everything seems like it's perfect. You know, everything is just going well. She's beautiful. She believes that you're beautiful, handsome. Everything's so right. That's also known as the time of the love mentioned of in Jeremiah the 2nd chapter. Also synonymous with when you first fell in love with this truth. When you first believe this thing. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 2. It's Jeremiah 2:2. Go and cry in the ears of Jerusalem, saying, thus said the Lord, I remember thee, the kindness of thy youth, the love of thine espousals, when thou wentest after me in the wilderness, and that land was not sown. So guess what? The Israelites, They went after the Most High in the wilderness, man. They ran after the Lord, man. That's why he was saying, I just wanted more and more and more and more and more. That means you was chasing after the Lord. You was running out. There was a point in time where, you was running after the Lord. You couldn't stop watching the videos. You watched the one Israelite video, you clicked on it, you just couldn't stop. Let's go to Songs of Solomon, chapter 1. Songs of Solomon, chapter 1, and verse number 4. And it reads, Songs of Solomon 1 and 4. Draw me, we will run after thee. The king hath brought me into his chambers. We will be glad and rejoice in thee. We will remember thy love more than wine, the upright love. So you see that it says, draw me, and we will run after thee. You used to run after the Lord. Now you kind of slow down. You don't run and you don't even try. You don't put forth the effort. You used to stay up all night for the Lord. Cry for the Lord. Do anything. Sacrifice anything. I used to walk miles for the Lord. Literal miles. So that's what this brother is explaining right now. Let me go to Ezekiel 16. Get one more. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 16. Ezekiel, chapter 16, and verse number... We're going to get straight to the point. It says, Ezekiel 16 and 8. This whole chapter, Ezekiel chapter 16, is a fire chapter. You got to check it out through the Spirit. This Ezekiel 16 and 8. Now when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, thy time was the time of love. And I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. Yea, I swear unto thee and enter into a covenant with thee, said the Lord God, and thou becamest mine. Hey, so the Lord, when you first locked in, so you got to be locked in. A lot of, you was locked in with the Lord. And the Lord said it was the time of love. That feeling you got, you just felt so good. Like you just found out the truth. You was locked in. That's also known as the time of love. When you and the Most High, y'all locked eyes, y'all locked in, everything was connected. So let's go back to this.
Give me more. Right? Give me more. I'm hooked at that time. So one video.
See that? He said he's hooked. Hey, didn't 1 Corinthians 16 and 15 say you have to be addicted to the ministry? Hey, he said he was hooked, man. He couldn't stop. He couldn't stop getting enough. He was hooked.
Turns into 2 videos turns into 4 videos into 30. And after 3 months, I had went through the entire video library of anything that had anything to do with Israelites, right? Because I was on it day and night. Waking up, I'm on it. I'm listening to videos. Going to sleep, I'm listening to videos.
See that? Hey, you can't make this up, man. Didn't you do that? Wasn't you binge watching the videos? You was going to sleep watching the camp videos. You getting up in the morning, a new upload from whatever YouTube channel you watching. Wasn't you like that? You can't make this up, man.
I'm on it. I'm listening to videos. Going to sleep, I'm listening to videos. For a full 3 months straight, I had went through all of the library. And at that point, I had started keeping the Sabbath. Right? I'm getting completely immersed into the Israelite doctrine. Right? This is something that I have a strong conviction for at this time. Super strong. You can't tell me anything. This is the truth. This is it. And I don't want to hear nothing else because y'all been hiding this from us. You know how it goes. The same type of stuff. It's like it was a very strong conviction. And like I said, I started keeping the Sabbath, fringes, got rid of the pork, started keeping the laws. I'm like, okay, so this is the reason why we're in this predicament. I'm gonna do exactly what this thing is saying and what I'm supposed to do because I don't want to be in the wrath of God. So I'm gonna follow the instructions. And so I did. And after about, I say about 5, 6 months in, I was already involved with a camp. And the camp they lived, or where the camp was at, it was about 4 hours from where I stayed at. So I used to drive down there every Sabbath. Every Sabbath, I'd drive down, and I had finished video school during that time too. So what I did was I used to go down there with the camera and videotape the Sabbath class, and then I would go to camp afterwards and videotape the camp, drive back 4 hours, and then edit the videos and upload them. Right, so I was super serious about this thing. And I had no intentions on being a teacher or anything. I just want to know what's my part and what I can do to help get it out, help get this what I thought was the truth out. So I even went and got circumcised, right? Paid for the surgery and everything. Like I need whatever I need to do, I'm about this thing, right? So editing the videos, uploading it, I'm putting in the work, doing what I'm supposed to do. What I ended up running into were more questions as I began to study more and get more familiar and get really, really immersed in the doctrine and in the study. I started to understand it a lot more, and it became way more clear. When you get to a certain point of understanding of something, then you get to ask questions that further the conversation. So you go from starting out with the Deuteronomy 28 and those type of things, then you start to move, your level of understanding starts to increase your ability to question. And so when I started to question certain things and certain interpretations, just asking questions, because you don't want to, in my thought, I'm not trying to be a robot. I need to be able to, I'm trying to ask questions in being able to defend the doctrine or being able to defend my position for other people who are going to come asking these particular questions, right? I'm not looking for just a group that is a truth in. I'm looking to be able to defend it when they're coming with different questions and trying to hit me up with different things. What about this with this? So that's how I'm preparing and approaching it. So I'm asking these type of questions for clarification and seeing what we can, hold on, can we work this out? What is this all about here? And so when I realize is that even in this particular level of understanding, who will hold on to something once they have taken it, and because I had a certain level of understanding about genetics. How does the genetic part fit in here? The genetics say one thing, but then the doctrine says another thing, right? And I started to see that, it was okay to use certain areas of science to when it falls in place with the doctrine, but when it's outside of the place of the doctrine, then it would be brushed over, or you can call it, I guess, the white man science or any of those type of things, like to kind of just like smooth over it. So what ended up happening is that I didn't have enough doubt to fully question the Bible.
See that? He said I didn't have enough doubt to fully question the Bible, man. You can't make this up. This is real. This is 9 days ago. Real life.
So what I would do is I eventually realized this later, I would just suppress the questions and kind of keep them in the recesses of my mind and not deal with them. Even though there was information that I knew that was contradictory to what it was that I had believed and come to believe and understand. So I would suppress the questions and just kind of just, smooth over it, like I said. And what happened is that I had eventually received an email from someone, and they were asking a question about marriage and divorce. And this particular scenario was interesting because it wasn't a scenario that was dealt with specifically in the Bible. It was something that was rather unique because it's a circumstance that would have been rare at that time, but common in today's time. So the writers at that time would have been an issue at that particular time. And so what I did was I grabbed a verse that was vague enough to be applied, some complicated the scenario. It made it way more complex. And it's like, this is definitely not something that is dealt with in the scriptures. And so what I ended up doing is I want to make sure like I don't give someone bad advice, because this is like, usually you can go to the scriptures and find something, but this one you couldn't. So I ended up reaching out to one of my elders at that time, sent him over the email, replied to the other gentleman again, and then he went on about his way and I went on about my way. And that's how that one was settled. The next day I went and looked through the discussion again, and I'm analyzing it and I'm looking at it. And what stood out to me was that I was giving a lot of my own personal interpretations and advice on what it is that the gentleman should do. And I came to realize in that very moment that, wow, I had been doing the same exact thing that I had been chastising the Christian church for doing. But the difference is I had been doing it at a much higher level. And it took a longer time for me to realize that I had been doing it just at a much higher level than what the Christian has done, than how the Christian does it. Because the Christian will take a verse and they'll just usually take just a verse and they'll run off and they'll create entire doctrines and churches off of that. The difference is I was doing it was a little bit more complex. Precept upon precept, you're doing all these things. So it took a lot more time for me to catch it. That, wow, I'm really doing this.
See that? The Lord gave him a reprobate mind. Oh, that's what you call a reprobate. Because the Bible, one thing about the Bible, all answers are in this Bible. Now, it's certain things we just won't know because the Lord has a certain cap of knowledge and understanding you could reach. It's certain things you would never know what the Most High looks like. Now, it's a description, but you would never know exactly. You would never know when the Lord is born. That's like me asking you, when is the Most High born? And I don't have a precept, and I tell you, well, hold on, brother, there's no really answer for when the Lord is born. And you saying, well, hold on, you just like the Christian church. You don't have the answers. And you just fall out of the truth. That's off. Now, I don't know what marriage situation that he was explaining because he didn't give that many details. But I'm firmly confident, if he asks the correct person dealing with the marriage, and you're gonna have precepts for it. And wisdom, it is what it is. You're just gonna have it. Nevertheless, he said, I started to feel like, what I was doing like the Christians, what they were doing. That's off. Keep playing it.
And I'm rebuking them for doing it, but I'm still the one doing it. It's just at a more advanced level. And immediately I came to an understanding on a question that I had been asking myself for so long. And that question is, why are there so many church groups, Israelite sects? Why are there so many of these sects out there if everybody's reading from the same Bible? Something is not adding up.
See that? Why are there different sects? Different Israelite camps if we all believe in the Bible? He don't know what's going on. What you mean, why are there? The Lord said, let's go to it. That's a part of the curses. You're gonna have different congregations. You're gonna have different Israelite groups, different camps. Everybody's not gonna believe the same thing. It's in the curses. The same curses that brought him into the truth. Guess what? He didn't go back to that and do his research and study. Now we don't know what he was doing outside of that caused him to believe this thing, but I'm pretty sure he most likely wasn't in the spirit. Whether that was maybe he was doing stuff behind closed doors. And eventually the Lord gave him over to that. His mind wasn't right. Now he's bugged out. But it's Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall lead. So the Israelites will all, whether, and this goes for you, whether if you're in the truth as well. This, it don't matter. Well, I'm in the truth. This doesn't apply to me. No, you're gonna have an evil eye towards your brother. You're not gonna be seeing eye to eye with your own fellow Israelite. Even in the truth, you're still not gonna see it eye to eye. Still gonna be things you disagree upon. Still gonna be some things, that you're not just, no, I don't see that. That's due to the curses. But when you read certain prophecies, the Lord is gonna gather us all back together on one accord. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 49, and verse number 10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. Who is Shiloh? It's a messianic term for Yahweh Shai. It's talking about Yahweh Shai. So the kingship is not going to depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver, until the Lord comes back. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be. So the Lord, or the only way we're going to all see on eye to eye, where it's going to be one big count of all the Israelites in it, only way that's going to happen, the Lord has to come back and set things in order. Even with the Lord, you still going to have people trying to do their own things in the second wilderness. So if he would have went through these precepts, he wouldn't even have these type of questions. Because he would have, okay, all right, the prophecy say what it say, okay, this is why it's happening. And he would have understood that.
And in that moment, it had answered that question. And I come to realize that you can make this Bible say whatever you want it to say. Like, wow, man.
Do not buy solar panels if you live in one of these 11 states of America. It's the worst decision you...
I can't believe that this is what's like really happening.
See
and
that?
I was in a state of kind of like being upset. I felt like I was almost deceived in some way because I know that there's people who have been reading this for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And how is it that they have not come to this simple realization?
That's because they wasn't given a reprobate mind. That's why. That's because the Lord didn't give them a strong delusion, man. That's why. That's why they didn't. That's the reason why. Let's go to let's go to 2 Timothy. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse number 11. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and 11. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they shall believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not in the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. So the Lord, all he did was send him a strong delusion that he should believe a lie. Now, why the Lord did this? Hey, we don't know the exact reason. Maybe he wasn't on fire behind closed doors. It's something that he's leaving out. It's always two sides to a story. You have his side, and you have the Lord's side, which is the true story of what really happened. Nevertheless, all we know that this man, the Lord gave him a strong delusion. And the points that he's bringing out to why he left, and he don't even know that you cannot lead the Israelites. You were born an Israelite. You can't lead. This is who you are. You were born this way. So the fact that he's talking about I left the Israelites, we already know that his mind, he's bugged out. Let's go back to this.
When I've come to it after 3 years, right? And I felt real offended over that. And at this point, I was about halfway into making my next video, and I just couldn't even do it anymore. Right? Everything was done. Like I'm like, I can't finish this video. I cannot release any more videos because the only reason I was doing the videos because I believed in what it was that I was doing was right. And I believed that this was the real truth. Right? But when I come to this realization, I found out that there's no way I can continue teaching this. 1,000 subscribers, and the channel was hot. It was heating up like crazy. It was just getting super hot. And I said, it doesn't matter.
See that? He stopped doing the work of the Lord. Now, we're not going to watch this whole thing. You know, you can watch it on your own time. Let me go to Luke chapter 9. He took his hand off the plow. So there's many different precepts that come to mind when you watch this. And, you know, this thing is not a game. This thing is real life. Let's go to Luke chapter 9. The book of Luke chapter 9 and verse number 62. And Yahushua said unto him, no man, having put his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of God. So guess what? If you take your hand off the work of the Lord, and it's chiefly for you men, it's applied to women that does the work, but chiefly for you men, if you take your hand off the plow and look back, guess what? You're not fit for the kingdom. This work should never stop, not for personal reasons, not because how you feel, not in the spirit. The work of the Lord must continue. And if you don't do it, if you don't keep the commandments, if you fall out of the truth, if you stop loving the Lord, guess what? There's going to be somebody out there that is going to do what you're not doing. Go to 1 Samuel chapter 15. Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel chapter 15 and verse number 28. And Samuel said unto him, the Lord hath rent the kingdom of Israel from thee this day, and hath given it to a neighbor of thine that is better than thou. So the Lord took the kingdom from King Saul and gave it to somebody that was better than him. If you in this truth, you watching this right now, just know you always have somebody that's better than you. There will always be somebody that will serve the Most High 10 times more than you, that will love him 10 times more than you, that would keep his commandments 10 times more than you, that would do the things that you're not doing. That's even in the world, man. It's people that work harder than others. It's always going to be somebody that's going to magnify his name better than you ever could. So that means that you could be replaced at any time. At any given time, you can be replaced. And that's what happened. You don't think another brother came into after this brother left the truth, you don't think another brother came in after him? You'll be a fool to think that, guess what, after he fell out of the truth, that's it. No, guess what? Somebody replaced him that was more and mightier than him. Why? Because he couldn't endure. And this thing is about endurance, man. This thing is not a game. Right, let's go to Esther chapter 1. It's Esther chapter 1 and 19. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it not be written among the laws of the Persian and Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate and to another that is better than she. So for you sisters out there, the women, the aqua, guess what? It's gonna be a sister out there. She's gonna be better than you, man. She's gonna serve the Lord better than you. She's gonna reverence her husband better than you. She's gonna magnify the name of the Most High better than you. She's gonna have a better spirit. She's gonna have more patience than you, more virtuous than you, more shamefast than you. She's gonna outdo. She's out there. So why, brothers and sisters might take these things for granted. Guess what, man? There's always somebody out there that's gonna outwork you through the spirit. All right. Always gonna be somebody out there that's 10 times better than you. Let me pull up this one last thing. Got one more thing to pull up before we close out. Now, what was this? This was, when did this happen? This was Tuesday. Our brother put this in the group chat. I guess it was a brother on Instagram or something, but he put this in there. Not sure brothers and sisters could kind of see it, but if you can't see it, I'm gonna read it. It says, I should have stayed evil. F this stuff. I am not about to keep fighting the laws. I am not getting what the F I want. The F kind of God is this. All these Bible twisters, MFers, who don't even keep the laws, don't even care about living good. MFers doing what they want to do, living how they want to live. But the MFers who believe and you got to suffer, nah, man, F this stuff. I'm coming to conclusions, either serving God, we either serving the wrong God, or are we serving a God that doesn't exist? See that? And he said, F this truth. He said, if you keeping the commandments, you got to suffer, but if you don't, you can just live it up. So this was going on in the last days, and it's going to continue to go on. It's going to continue to work, and it's going to continue to get worse and worse. Right? See that the brother said, what about Acts 14 and 22? That's right. But guess what? When you out the spirit like that, you're not thinking about you're not thinking about them precepts. So, hey, guess what, man? You get one time to serve the Lord, and you get one time and one time only. That's why you have to magnify the name of the Lord. You have to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. Because you never know. It's like you never know when this could be your last day. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, and verse number 10. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor knowledge. It's like nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest. So whatever you find your hand to do in this truth, do it with your might. Because there is no work, nor knowledge, nor device, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest. But with that, we giving all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach, Umarak Yahushua. Lord willing, this video is edifying. Continue to read, pray, fast, and study. Most importantly, beseech the Heavenly Father for his mercy. That I'm going to say shalom.